Okay, now that you've created the site itself, I'm going to open the editor and I'll show you how to create a basic page for yourself. And this is really the easiest way to create a page. And so we'll go through the process of doing so. So the basic setup of a page, you want to have some sort of a header. And that will have, so if you're creating a sales page, you don't want to have a menu or anything, a navigation bar or anything. But if you want to create a page with a navigation bar for a full website, I'll show you how to do that in another video. So in this video, we're going to do something like a sales page. So we're going to go over here to this blocks, and we're going to use the empty blocks. They have all these blocks that are already pre-done. But I have found that, well, one, they've been around since the beginning and when code wasn't working that well for them. And so I'm finding that it's just easier to use an empty block, because otherwise you end up with a lot of layers in your code that is confusing. And so I just use the empty blocks. I find it the easiest way. So I'm going to just build the basic framework of my page that I want using these things. So I'm going to have one that's just got one basic row of information, and then I'm going to build this. So the second piece, so you can imagine if you had like a checkout thing here and an image of a book or whatever, your course or whatever. And then down here might be something for testimonials. And another one here, like for your about section, something like that, or you could use it for testimonials. So I'm just going to build it that way. So I'm just going to do that real quick. We're not going to worry about setting anything up yet. We're just going to do this just to get the basic framework in. So I'm just sliding these things into the spots where I want them. And then, maybe down here, I'm going to have an about section. Oh, I'm going to do this about section here. And I always want to be sliding it down to the bottom section. And then under that, I may have some testimonials. So I'm going to put it down there. And then for the last thing, I would probably have another one of these main sliders that kind of goes back to that. Okay. All right. So now that we have this going, we're going to actually add things to this. So like in the top section, we're going to add a header and a subheader. And then in this middle section, we're going to add an image and a checkout form, or vice versa. And then in here, we might have another headline of some sort. And then here our about section. And then down here, you would have your testimonials, and then another like, get access now type of thing, something to, so that they can go back up to this section here. Okay. All right, so the first section, I'm going to build my headlines. So I'm going to go to elements now, and I'm going to pull this H1 into this top container and an H2 into that top container. Okay, so if you look at these containers now, like when I look at this one, I have a body, a block, a container, a layout 2.2, and then right now I'm highlighted on the little container. So likewise, when I'm in this container, I have a block, which is containing both of those headings. And then I have a container, and that container, see, has a different margin. So there's a margin in there, and there's a sizing here that they want to make it relevant to the parent. And so what that means is it's just going to have the width that basically is the same as the parent, with some margining, which is an auto margin. So that's a basic margin on the side. So you're always wanting to look in here, and you want to make sure that this little thing here matches where you are here. Because if it has something like P tag, Well, that's a bug in the system right now, and you're not on the right thing, in which case, if it says P tag, you would want to log out and log back in because something happened with the code. They have a bug and they haven't resolved it yet. So just be aware of that bug. All right. And then you can see now there's another container. So I have this layout 1, right? And then when I click here, I have this other container that's inside of this this layout 1. And then I have another text container, which is my heading. And I have a text container that's heading 2. So now you can see over here heading 1 tag, and you want to make sure, even if you make something large enough to look like a heading, you want to make sure it's an H1 tag or an H2 tag, because that is what Google remembers, right? That's what Google dives in, and they start looking for your H1 tag, your H2 tag when they crawl through your site. And so you want to make sure those are labeled properly, because if they're labeled regular text, it won't know it's a headline, and it'll be confusing. Okay. All right. So then I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to add some things to this. So we'll just go through that. So I'm going to do a checkout. So I'm going to go down here to this checkout embed, and I'm going to move it into this, and then I'm going to move an image into this one next to it. Whoops. So I still am on elements, and I'm going to go over here and add an image. Okay. All right. So you can see this creates a placeholder. It's kind of a large image, and when you have a checkout, it's going to be a lot smaller. So imagine this picture, not being so huge. And when you click on it, you can actually do a configure, and it has used a placeholder image, but we can actually maybe put in a smaller image that would be more the size of our checkout page if you want it that way. But if you want to have the whole entire checkout right here, then you want to make your image, maybe have 2 images in here or something like that, or images with some text underneath it, so that it looks good. Okay. All right. And so that's having that checkout and an image. And then down here, we're going to have like another heading. Whoops. If you goof up, you can always click the undo button. But in this case, there's a heading in this. So I'm just going to click the undo button, because you can see when I click on this, there's all this. If I click undo, it's going to pull all that code. But if I just delete it here, it may not pull all that code. So I'm just going to click undo to make sure that it pulls the right code out of there. Okay, see how I undid it? All right. So now I'm going to go back in here, and maybe in here I could create, I'm going to just do a heading 1 just to keep it simple, and another heading 2. Oops. There. Okay, so those are in there. And then I'm back to this. So now I'm going to create more text, like a heading and some text. So something like this, a title and paragraph underneath here. And then I'm going to put an image on the other side. So I can put like, hi, I'm Cheryl. And then down here, I'm going to use these cards, this kind of a card with a little header. These are nice for having an image, and then something like a feature that you have, or I use them to do testimonials or something. I just think they look nice. Oops, I'm doing the wrong one. See, this one has card header. It has a title and the paragraph, where this one just has the paragraph. So you can choose which one you want. If you want to put like a headline, like if they make one big statement like, this is the best training I've ever had, then you put that there in the headline. Otherwise, you could just put the it without the image, but I'm going to put the image. I'm going to do that. And this one, I'm going to actually get in the full container of it, and I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going to put it back in. Oops. Let me go back. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go forward. Okay. I got that one. I'm going to put the next one in. Okay. Here we go. And here we go. Okay, and then the last section is going to be like another heading, maybe a heading 1 again, and a button. I'm going to put a button down here so I can show you the button. Okay, so I'm going to put that button. Okay, all right, so now you can see how it's not really formatted that well at this point. And so in the next video, I'll show you how to format it.